Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So, good afternoon to our viewers. Good afternoon, tech community. Welcome to our panel discussion, exploring tech career paths today. We have here viewers right now. So, I hope we have students here or young professionals who are seeking for jobs. This is a good discussion for you guys. What will be expected in this session? You'll be learning about the various tech career paths you can explore today, whether you're a fresh grad, career shifter, or an experience on seeking for career growth. All right, so let's start with our panel discussion. So before that, I would like to introduce to you our esteemed panel. So our speakers this afternoon. So let's start with the AVP for Infrastructure of Manulife, Mr. Ross Langshaw.
Hi guys, hope you can hear me.
Our next speaker is the co-founder and president of Apper.ph, Ms. Diwa del Mundo.
Hi, good afternoon,
And
everyone.
Sir, I'm so sorry, Mr. Diwa. Country manager of GradPhilippines or growth lead of people, Ms. Yohanne Esguerra. And lastly, the co-founder of FIltaGlobal, Ms. Nerissa Chaux.
Hello, Philippines! Woo! I'm
Wow.
ready.
All right. So, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's
All
do
right.
this.
So let's do this. Okay. So let's start with the first question. So again, hopefully we have here job-seeking individuals right now. This could be very helpful to them, right? So our first question. What job opportunities await fresh grads who want to go into software development and IT in general? Maybe we could start with Mr. Diwa.
Yes, of course. So the technology industry has a lot of opportunities for fresh grads seeking to have a career in software development and IT in general. So comparing the industry, let's say 10 to 15 years ago, I would say that there are lots, numerous opportunities. So just a matter of the demand is not even a question; it's there. Just a matter of proving that you have the right skills, the right talent, and right attitude to be in an IT role. Specifically, if you want to be a technical, say if you want to be a technical person, there are opportunities as a software engineer, software developer, or if you want to get into the tech industry, it might not be technical, but there are still opportunities for you. So there are a lot of a huge amount of demand for capable IT professionals in the industry today.
Can we also hear from Mr. Ross?
Sure, great question. So right now at Manulife, for example, we're a global company. We're just finding the wealth of talent that's here in the Philippines. We're a Canadian company, but we've also got branches in Hong Kong and Vietnam and Malaysia, here in Philippines and all over the world, in the US. What we're doing right now is we're moving some roles from the bigger, more expensive markets like North America to the Philippines. Not a model that's strange to the Philippines. A lot of other companies do it as well. Right now, we're hiring front and back end, full stack engineers, test automation engineers, platform, cloud, DevOps, the whole gamut. We're looking for hundreds of people right now. So the time is right now. What I want to warn new grads is don't think that your education makes you better than an entry-level position. A lot of companies, the entry-level position, they're bringing in you fresh and with your education, but they want to build you up with their styles and their requirements over time. So don't overlook them. A lot of times you just have to pay your dues and get your foot in the door to start your career. And please don't overlook anything that may be of interest for you, but you think it might be above.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much. Can we also hear from Ms. Yohanne?
Yep. Hi, everyone. So I think it's really good that, fresh grads are in a very good position right now because the industry is growing. And like what Ross said, the Philippines has established our expertise, even in fresh grads. Even in entry-level positions, we have established our expertise in the industry. So we are in a very good position to be more more advanced in applying for these roles. The industry is broad and is growing, and it's a matter of knowing what really interests you. So in our platform, we have opportunities being listed by employers from programming, software engineering, front-end developer, web developer. We also are seeing emerging fields that include data science, machine learning, blockchain, cybersecurity. But most of these are still in the early stages here in the Philippines. But like what I said, the fresh graduates right now are in a very good position to take advantage of these opportunities. And another thing is freelancing is also a growing market. So you're not limited to a career path with a specific company. You have a whole world ahead of you that you can grow and you can thrive in depending on what career path you'd like to choose. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well said. Thank you so much, Ms. Yohanne. Lastly, can we hear from Ms. Nerissa?
Absolutely. Love what everyone's saying. We work with international e-commerce and digital agencies across Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US, and the UK. We love grads at Filter. So if you're a grad right now, hello, please apply. Because IT professionals in the Philippines I love the talent, the enthusiasm, the hard work. Most of you would know that globally, Filipinos are ranked as they work 8 out of 8 hours. So you're not just competing on a local scale. So grads, don't think of it as I'm competing against, the person I'm sitting next to in the classroom. You are now competing against United States developers, Cambodia, Vietnam, South Africa, Ukrainian, and you guys are amazing. So my thoughts on, in terms of what we're seeing, is the same, very similar. Development, all stacks, front end, back end, full stack, whatever language we need it, we want it. If you're a Ruby on Rails dev, or you want to get into Shopify, hit us up, please. We'd love to hear from you as a grad. I think cybersecurity definitely is something that is going to be coming of age, and we're going to see some more people out. But to give the Filipinos out there some confidence as grads, because that's what the biggest thing we hear is, how do I get a job with an international company? Is Atcha, who's hopefully here tonight. She is in her 3rd year of university. She's doing a degree in computer science. How we spotted her, she works for us part-time, is she was doing a talk. She was doing a talk at university. One of my team members heard her talk on YouTube. We got her into one of our Facebook Live events that's purely for developers. She spoke for an hour. She was amazing. A lot of knowledge, exceptional communication skills, and we offered her a job on the spot. So 3rd year uni, directly reports into myself as the CEO. We love grads. There's opportunities. Take it, run with it, go for it.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone. So with that, it's really true that students sometimes find it hard to look for a job, especially after they graduate. They have what they call it, career crisis, or um, they tend to get confused what path they should take. Right. So with that, you mentioned you love fresh grads, um, and as a fresh grad, that doesn't mean that you end up with an entry level, right? So with that, how can students prepare themselves to get a better chance of getting into the industry? Can we start with Miss Nerissa, being said that you love fresh grad? So how what advice could you give to our students to prepare themselves to get a better chance of getting into the industry?
All right, let me tell you, it's the basics. Please format your resume properly. Please have a portfolio, right? Like this is the basics. Everyone looks the same on paper, all right? Everyone's got a degree. I'm telling you, I'm Australian. We don't care about, to be quite frank with you, I don't care what scores or GPA you get at uni. I don't care what university you went to. What I'm looking for is, what have you done during university? Are you freelancing? Have you built sites for your friends and your family want to build something? What are you learning? What courses are you doing that's outside? Like, I want passion, and passion is shown by evidence, and evidence is being obsessed with coding and showing us a portfolio. And I think all of us would agree today is you cannot come out of university and not have a portfolio of work, because to me it means someone's made you go to university and do that course. So I guess the first thing is show a body of work, join councils. You know what? Filter, as I said, we have Facebook Live. We've had 16-year-olds speak. If you want an opportunity to showcase your skills and you haven't finished university, or you've just finished, reach out to us. We'll get you on. It's 20,000 people watch us live every week. You have an opportunity to get a job and really give you that confidence to stand out. And that's what employers are looking for, is what gives you the edge. Because again, when I'm looking at a grad, I'm not looking at them just because they're in the Philippines. I'm comparing them to, what do I get from a grad in the United States? So I'll leave it to the other speakers, otherwise I'll be here all night.
All right, thank you. Can we also hear from Ms. Yohanne?
Yeah, so in terms of preparing themselves, I would echo what Nerissa said. So in terms of preparing your CV, what we usually recommend is 10% education and 90% focusing on the skills and your experience. So with the opportunities right now, you can showcase a lot of work that you have previously done. Even if as a student freelancing, you will be able to get a lot of experiences, and not just experience in coding, but communication skills. There are a lot of soft skills that are being looked into when you're applying for that job. Another tip would be to identify what you really want to do and what career path that you'd like to take. So be self-aware, identify what type of organization you will thrive in, align the values that you have in yourself to the values that you have, that the organization that you're planning to apply to has, or the culture that they're trying to promote in their organization. So those are the key tips. And also to treat your social media profile as a way to build your personal branding. So if you want, how do you want to present yourself? These are very accessible right now. When you're applying for jobs, you should be aligning what you want to showcase, or how you want to showcase or brand yourself with the social media platforms that you have. Another one would be really looking into the organization, focusing on what the role and what you're going to do in that role and in that organization as well. Research on prospective employers. Bonus is that if for example, some of our employers have day in the life stories, what does a day in a software engineer at this employer or this organization looks like, and really get that feel if that's something that you want to do and you want to strive in, the career path that you'd like to grow into. So yeah, those are just a few tips. Again, there are a lot of things in the list, but I'll leave it with the other panelists as well.
Mr. Diwa, any advice you can give to our students right now?
Yeah, so Nerissa and Isai have elaborated on some of the key things like projects, the project's portfolio, also the extracurricular activities, especially coming out from school. I I had a lot of interviews with fresh grads this past few months, and nowadays I'm really looking for a couple of things. One is for candidates that exhibits the propensity to learn, so the ability to pick up new skills, quickly learn new technical technical skills, technical competencies. So usually I look at the resume of a candidate or an applicant, and I look for clues that will give me confidence that, you know, even though this person doesn't have experience yet in the industry, but based from what I've seen in the resume, I know that he can pick up skills so fast, because tech skills, technologies come and go, right? And I think what's important is to have a good the ability to really learn and pick up skills. And I think that could go a long way. It could help you when you start your career up to the point that you get to a mid or a senior level practitioner. So yeah, so if you can exhibit that in your resume, then it's a good way to really differentiate yourself from the pack.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ross?
Thanks. Couple things to add, and I agree with everything everybody said already. Research the company that you're interviewing with. If it's a specific company, know what their business lines are. Understand their business model as much as you can. Understand if they're global, if you're going to be supporting global interests and things like that. It's always reassuring for the interviewer to know that you've taken that extra step, and that you're just not going through the paces, and you've got interest beyond just getting an interview. Couple other things: don't undersell your skill set. If you've got a light knowledge of some of the codes, put them in your resumes. No hiring manager today expects the whole laundry list. They're hoping that you've seen things and you've had some interaction in a lot of them. Don't think you need 100% of what's listed in the resume or in the ad. Seldom does a company expect you to come in that way. When you do get an interview, ask questions, pointed questions. It shouldn't be a one-way monologue from an interviewer. It should be a two-way. I always expect my to answer as many questions as I ask in any kind of interview. So those are just some of the tips I've come across over the years.
Yeah, totally agree with everyone. Yeah, it's really important to invest in your skills. So for those students listening right now, yeah, look for a way to learn more, right? To improve your skills. So right now, I saw some questions from our viewers. Maybe we could pick one. I saw this one very interesting here. Any advice for those who are coming from a non-tech related course but would like to work in the tech community? So um, maybe we could start with Mr. Diwa.
Right. So the question is, how do you get into the IT industry if you don't have a technical degree or a STEM degree, right? So the way to break into the industry if you don't have a computer science or IT degree would be to get yourself to join boot camps, or join tech communities, right? It's you need to show a potential employer that you can transition into the industry, right? And if you don't have the right technical background or a tech background in the university or college, you need to somehow show an employer that you can do it and you can do the transition. Since most of the applicants could be coming from tech degrees, a boot camp is a good way to demonstrate that you can transition and you can quickly pick up new skills. So that's it. That I think is it's a good way for you to transition. In addition, you can also, if you don't want to be let's say, go into a technical role in the industry, there are also opportunities that might require a more balanced skill set and interpersonal skills. So there are roles that require to have a level of technical competence, but it doesn't require to be let's say, a specialist or a hardcore development skills. So you could be let's say, a technical account manager moving forward, or you could be on technical sales. So those roles would require you to have a certain level of technical skills, but it would also require you to have good interpersonal and communication skills in order to demonstrate or convey value to customers and stakeholders.
Well said. Thank you so much, sir. Can we hear from Ms. Yohanne?
Yeah. So to answer that question, advice for who are coming from a non-tech related course but would like to work in a tech community, it's basically building the skill set or building your experience. Doesn't really have to be a degree on paper from a university, but if you can show the employer that you have these kind of experiences from possibly freelancing gigs, boot camps, and other community dev work that you're able to show in your portfolio or your CV, that would already be a good starting point to break into the industry, even without having that degree from university. So it's basically just opening up yourself to different courses that you might be able to get outside the university, from the network that you have and from all of the possible resources that is available to people in the tech industry right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ross?
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I don't come from a tech background. So I think somebody mentioned it before about soft skills. A big thing that I'm a proponent of is the liaison between the business and the tech. So if you have some sort of tech knowledge and you can communicate, be the intermediary between the really technical people and the business, it's a huge value. There's a couple less technical avenues I would suggest. Service management, meaning incident problem change, service requests, those type of things. They're on the fringe of the tech world. And project management, if you rack up some project management points and go through that path, IT is always looking for quality IT project managers. So, those would be my suggestions. And apply for my job because I didn't have a tech background.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Nerissa?
Yep, I'm exactly like Ross. I am not techie whatsoever. My suggestions would be Avion School. It's Philippines based. They put people through courses. You have to go through an interview stage. You've got to demonstrate that you're actually interested. And Avion have actually taken on people who are customer support. They've gone through numerous interviews and have been selected, and they do a 3-month boot camp. So I have interviewed people from Avion School, loved their attitude, they're juniors, but certainly have hired them. So that would be a tip. Internships. Of course, when I talk internships, I mean paid internships. Let me just be clear. We have people all the time approaching us for internships. I still interview because I still want to see enthusiasm, interest, good communication skills. But internships are particularly very, very valuable. So definitely go down that road. We have called before about freelancing. Definitely do freelancing, whether it's through places like Upwork, which of course, why wouldn't you be on Upwork? But also like having those opportunities for others. The other thing is we run the world's largest Shopify e-commerce meetup in the Philippines, Go Philippines. And how we got into that was, again, I'm not a tech head, but we have developers, digital marketers attend every 3 months. And how we got involved is, I go to meetups and I met people in the industry. For instance, you could be saying things like, I'm interested in Shopify. How does that work? So go to virtual networking groups, learn, get to know people, network, be interested in others. And that gives you an idea of kind of how you can move along. Because as Ross said, you don't have to be technical to work in the tech space, but then what we're looking for is high communication skills, high initiative, problem solving, and critical thinking. So that would be my tips. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. So yeah, indeed, you don't really need a wide knowledge on technology to be part of the tech community, right? Especially with the situation right now with the global pandemic, it instantly required us to be techie, right? So we talk to our friends virtually through Messenger, Zoom, or any platform, right? So we focused on advice we can give to our fresh grad or our students. So let's proceed with what can experienced developers do. So let's talk about the professional. I know we have professionals here right now. So what advice could you give to our experienced developers? What can they do to increase the opportunities available for them? Can we start with Miss Yohanne?
Yeah, so for experienced developers in the tech industry,
I
think
I think you.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so for the more experienced people in the tech industry, what I would advise is to look into more have a self-assessment. What do you love and what you're good at? Because when you are in a more senior role, you will have to choose if you're going to do more coding stuff, more hands-on stuff, or more into the leadership and project management stuff. So you will be more in the middle ground of being able to manage more of those technical stuff and also be more aligned with the internal structure of the business and being more making more decision-making for the business and your team's growth. So more on communication skills, critical thinking, and decision making for you to be for job opportunities for a senior or medium or senior level management. So those are my tips.
Mr. Diwa?
I think that's a very interesting question, and it's something kind of tugged something to me because I was a software engineer for most of my career. So I spent more than almost 15 years as a software engineer. And once you get into the mid and senior level, usually you get into a point that you want to ask yourself whether you want to go to the specialist route. So it means continuing to be a contributor, continuing to be a software developer, doing really the implementation, or you want to go more towards leadership and management, right? So usually that's the question that you're going to have once you reach a certain level as a technical person. So it actually is quite good because there are a lot of opportunities that I think you really need to be very honest with yourself with what you want in life, because that will really guide you where you want to go. So determining if you want to be a specialist, really continue to be an engineer, or you want more responsibilities. So it means less coding. It's more of really trying to get people to work toward a common goal to achieve objectives. So if you believe or if you think that there's something more exciting for you, then you need to work on certain skills that you didn't experience or you don't have too much experience, because most of the time you're talking with computers, right? Doing coding. So I think another question that you might want to ask yourself if you want to be closer to the customer. So as an engineer, usually you're given specs, right? So for some companies, you're given specs, or you might have a product manager who will describe to you the vision of the specifications of the product, and your job is to translate that vision into something tangible as code. So there are also opportunities that would require a closer collaboration to the customer. So let's say you want to experience working with the customer, solving their problem. So coming from a technical background, you could venture, let's say, into solutions architecture, and that require a lot of interactions with customers. Another variant of that is if you don't want to be a specialist or a contributor doing coding, there's also an opportunity if you want to be some sort of an in-between, let's say a stakeholder, a product manager, and the engineering team. So there are also opportunities for that for technical product managers or business analysts. Okay, so that's those are the paths or the opportunities that you encounter once you reach the medium or senior level positions.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Not much to add. I agree with all of that. A few years ago at Manulife, we realized that we were losing really smart technical people because our model kind of hit a ceiling for the technical people. Whereas if you wanted to go into the management and the product ownership and things like that, you could keep going up, but it was tough to get past a certain level for the for developers and engineers. So we fixed that. So what I would suggest to the experienced people out there is to ask the company what your opportunities are going each path you want to go, whether you want to stay completely technical and a single contributor type of thing, or if you want to go into the people management and product management, what are your limitations and how far can you go? And don't get an empty answer that you can go as far as you want. A lot of companies aren't built like that. They have limitations for their technical people. So again, ask the important questions when interviewing.
Ms. Nerissa?
Love what everyone's saying. I would totally agree with what everyone's saying there. So that's awesome. What I would like to highlight is when you're looking at your career, regardless of which stage you are in your career, always think about what is my end goal and make a strategic move. Don't just take a job because it pays more money. That is a mistake that a lot of people seem to make. It's really about what do I need for me to get to where I am, right? And what sort of company is going to best suit what I want and my lifestyle and where I want to go. And then regardless if you're in a job now or you're thinking about moving, my thoughts for mids and seniors, which is always the challenge, is I want to earn more money, I want to go somewhere, I want to do things. I'm going to focus more on international opportunities. A lot of the developers that work with our clients actually get to sit in virtual meetings with, CEOs, CTOs from all around the world. And a lot of them never thought they'd have that opportunity. So if you can develop that confidence and that ability to communicate and at a senior level and feel comfortable understanding briefs from clients, whether it's internal or external, the world is your oyster. And why limit yourself just to maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to get a job in Singapore. Philippines. Philippines is awesome, but maybe that's your career path, your life journey. Maybe you'd love to get a job in Australia or the US. So think big and think, how does this job take me where I need to go? And as I said, really focus on your critical thinking. What are you adding value to the business? How are you doing it? And then think about communication. A lot of Filipinos, particularly devs, I appreciate, you're generally introverted, you love being in a dark room, playing Fortnite. I totally understand that, right? And sitting on a computer is like your worst nightmare, talking to people, because you're in the zone. But the developers that get places and go where they need to be really work hard at developing those skill sets. So have that confidence, practice. I know the biggest thing is a lot of Filipinos have amazing English, but they think they're terrible, but they're not. So get that confidence about speaking to as many people internally as possible. We had a developer, he was very stressed about his English. I would visit numerous times, he would barely say hello to me. He came to Australia for 3 weeks, obviously pre-COVID, okay? He came to Australia on site, it was like a brand new person. And when he came back to the Philippines, he said, okay, no one's allowed to talk to me in Tagalog. I have to force myself to speak English because I realized I could do it. He's a total new man. Of course, if I could speak Tagalog, that would be amazing. I'm not as blessed as you who can speak multiple languages, apologies. But what I'm saying is have that confidence, practice, watch US TV shows. You know, whatever gets you feeling comfortable in speaking in English and just owning it. Filipinos are so humble, and the biggest thing I hear from developers is, I don't want to brag. I don't want to be bragging. Trust me, you never brag. Even when you think you're bragging, you're just being normal to us, right? Own who you are, have confidence, and just go for it. So I'm saying dream big. Okay, guys, don't limit yourselves. Dream big. The opportunities are out there. You are not competing just for local companies. You can have a wonderful opportunity with great international companies as well.
Okay. So well said. So yeah, we've tackled on advice you could give to our students, to our experienced developers. So I have here one interesting question. I think we could career shifters could relate to this. We have here any tips for developers or people with more of a technical background on how to prepare when currently transitioning to positions that are more of in between. So example being a project manager or perhaps business analyst. So yeah, I could consider this as a career shifter, right? So maybe we could start with Mr. Ross.
I wish I had an easy answer. Soft skills are so hard to teach. I tend to think either you got them or you don't. So I think if you've already got the technical background and people say, hey, you would be great doing this, IT project manager, for example, it means you've got the soft skills. I can't teach it. I don't have them. I can't teach them. I think Nerissa's got them, but I don't have them. And I don't speak Tagalog either. Even though I've been here a year, I just can't yet because I've been locked up for a year. Yeah, so I wish I had a tip for. I don't.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe we could hear from Miss Yohanne.
Yeah. So again, focusing on, because you already have that technical background and now you're transitioning for something in between, I think more focus on problem solving and decision making. So I think those are the key things that you might want to consider if you're not really, if that's not a self identified attribute of yours, or that's something that you're not really comfortable in doing yet. I think that's one tip that you need to be embracing fully if you are going to transition to that role, because that's one of the key things that you need to be prepared for when you are a project manager. You will be handling a lot of people, there will be a lot of challenges, and you will need to be able to be the in-between for being able to deliver for the clients, for the management, and also at the same time communicate to the developers or the team what needs to be done. So communication skills, problem solving, and decision making are the key tips that I'll be able to share.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay. Can we also hear from Mr. Diwa? Any tips you could give to our career shifters or want to shift careers?
Yeah, okay, sure. So there are a couple of specific tips that I could give you. One is to join a tech community. Not just join, actually volunteer to be a leader, because handling a tech community requires a lot of like work and communication, work with various people. So that's where you're going to develop the patience, the interpersonal skills, and working with the various types of people. So that's one. The second one is try to venture into something that you're not comfortable with. So let's say if you're coming from a technical background, perhaps public speaking is something new to you. So what you can do is you can join, let's say, a public speaking club, like let's say like Toastmasters, or some online speaking group that could help you increase or improve your communication skills, because those will really come into play when you become a manager or in between, right? Another tip, but I'm not sure how to describe it in a more concrete way. You need to develop the ability to interpret or understand requirements. Usually, when you become a manager, you talk to customers or you talk to stakeholders. Sometimes you're given one-line, two-line like mandates on let's say on the software or product that you are tasked to do, right? And sometimes that if you have the right experience already, more or less you know what to do on how to manage the risk, and also create a strategy in delivering a solution to a certain problem or a certain requirement. But sometimes when you're starting, I guess that's a very complicated and very excruciating experience, especially at the first few years, because usually there are disagreements and misunderstandings. So you need to develop that. And I think the way to do that is really try talking to people, especially non-tech people, and try to understand what they're saying. Because if you think about the products that or apps that we use nowadays, when they started as pitch decks, they're kind of simple, right? So let's think about Grab or Uber. If you think about it, it's connecting riders and drivers. So when you talk to someone who has the vision to come up with this product, it's just a one sentence: I want to connect riders and drivers. But once you get into the specifics, all of a sudden it becomes really, really complicated. So as a manager, you should have the patience, the ability to assess, to predict uncertainties, and that require a lot of experience.
Miss Nerissa?
What they said, 100%.
All right. Totally agree with what Mr. Diwa said, to join a tech community. So very timely right now with our event, right? So me myself, actually, I've been a member of DevCon, Developers Connect, ever since I was college up until I became a professional. So that really helped me hone my skills. I was able to organize big events in our city. So yeah, very, very helpful. All right. So we still have time. So for those who would like to ask questions to our panel, you could throw in your questions on the comment section, and we could choose some questions. So for now, maybe we could proceed with another questions, more focusing more on for professionals. So this one, what are the lesser known roles out there, like positions that are either not too popular or too new that not a lot of people apply for them, especially with the IT graduates? most of them, they are expected to land as developers or programmers. When you're an IT graduate, you're expected to, okay, you'd well like to become a developer or programmer. So maybe there are other positions that are not familiar with our professionals or our students or graduating students. What are those roles that are not too familiar? Can we maybe start with Mr. Diwa?
I think that's a very interesting question. I would say the most underrated role in the industry would be a software test engineer. The reason is it requires technical competence, of course, because you need to do automation of testing. But at the same time, you need to have the ability to look at a product or an implementation and see how it can deliver value consistently to customers. So the name or title might vary. So sometimes people call them quality engineers, software development for test automation engineers. So there are a lot of variants, but ultimately it's all about automating manual testing. And while it might sound simple, it's actually very complex. So let's think about let's say if you're a company releasing let's say a web application or a mobile application, you need to have a solid test suite, right? And before you release, usually it goes through a set of people, set of QA people doing last minute checks if a release is good enough for to be distributed to the public, right? If you want to automate that, so imagine that if you're doing more releases per day or more releases per week, right? So it means that somehow you need to do the automation, and doing that automation requires a lot of skills because you need to have the ability to program, but you still need to have the ability to assess if the feature implementation is good enough or it meets the requirements. So that's I think it's very underrated. Usually, a lot of people want to go what's the next big role or next big thing, whether it's data scientist, machine learning engineer, or DevOps engineer. But no one is talking about the roles that could really multiply the velocity of a company. So imagine if you can do 90% automated tests for a mobile app company, right? So it means that you can do a release almost every day because 90% of the time, you're guaranteed that all of the features are automatically checked by automated tests. And you just need to have a quick check for some of the remaining 10% of the features manually. So I would say that's the most underrated role in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Can we hear from Ms. Nerissa?
Awesome. I'm excited because if you're a developer, you're in IT right now, Shopify, again, is the platform. It's the fastest growing e-commerce platform. There's over 1 million retailers. It's not, a lot of Filipino devs think Shopify is very basic. It's not. It's a lot of API integrations. It's a lot of custom work. People that we're looking for, if you've got JavaScript, things like the language is called Liquid, Ruby on Rails. This is where you should be living, breathing. If you want money and if you want a career, Shopify, I should be paid by Shopify, honestly. Seriously, come and work for us because that is absolutely where we're seeing the demand globally. E-commerce globally is blowing up. We're seeing it in the Philippines as well. Obviously, even supermarkets now, Shopsuki, which is in Mindanao, is blowing up. It's a Shopify Plus Philippine stores servicing the community, all on online retail. Pen Shop, love Pen Shop. Who doesn't love Pen Shop? If I could shop all day on Pen Shop, I would. They're Shopify Plus customer. So if you want even to work for wonderful, well-known local brands and support Filipino brands, these guys are all on Shopify Plus. And if I had $1 for every company, every owner that comes to me globally about what job do I want, I would be a millionaire, because the one thing I hear from countries all around the world, agency owners all over the world, is a Shopify developer. So hear me. you need to get involved in Shopify. You need to do freelancing. You need to come to our events, do the courses. Seriously, if you're a developer, that is the future. That's where it is. The money, the benefits, international opportunities. That's it. That's how I see it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Yohanne.
Yeah, so for emerging fields, you have mentioned all of it. You have data science, Shopify development, machine learning, but more importantly, I'd like to address the question of being tired of competing in the saturated market. So I'd like to focus more, instead of the emerging fields, more than the roles in the position. My tip is to look into the company. The competition is really high in some of the biggest companies in the region right now, but there are also smaller agencies and companies that are looking for highly talented software developers. And some advantages of being in these small companies and agencies or startups are more hands-on training tailored to your needs, often easier to advance your career path in, and gain broader knowledge because you work closely with other team members or team members from different teams in the organization. And there's also a huge opportunity to be able to work and have direct exposure with senior leadership. So also one disadvantage is when the culture is not good for companies that are really like at a global scale. And if you are working and the values are not aligned to what you want to be in, the career path that you like to be in, it could lead to overwork and burnout. So as you judge different responsibilities, you'll be able to face those kind of challenges. So just being able to get exposed to different opportunities outside the biggest companies that most of software developers are looking to get into. That's one of my tips, to also look into smaller companies that would yield more opportunities and more career growth than you might think.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Yeah, it was interesting that Diwa brought up test automation engineer, because we're hiring for those positions right now and having some difficulties filling the spots. In my company, we've got 1,000+ IT staff, and only probably 300 to 400 fall into the DevOps engineering, and that's just in the Philippines. The DevOps Philippines or DevOps engineering situation. So there's all sorts of fringe positions available out there. Investigate, look into things, and again, don't limit yourself to what you think you should be going after. Open up your mind and maybe it's something else. Just because you spent a couple of years at school, I went through school as an economist. I've never spent a minute outside of my education being an economist. So you can always change and keep your mind open. The thing I always do in this industry, look back 5 years and look at a couple job applications or job ads and see what's changed. Everything's changed. There's so much difference. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one program or language. Keep learning. Keep learning, because things are going to change, and you want to be ready for when the next greatest Shopify happens.
All right. So thank you so much for such it's been an insightful afternoon. Myself, I learned a lot from all the discussions we have. However, we have limited time. So before we end, I just like to ask a very few words from you guys. Maybe we could have parting advice to all our participants. Let's start with Miss Yohanne.
Yeah, so parting advice is to assess what you really want to what career path you'd like to go into. So there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources available for us right now. And don't just settle for something that would give you good money. It needs to be a balance of what you love, what you'll grow in, and of course, what pays. So find that balance and really apply that to the career path that you are wanting to take, and look for an organization that is aligned to the values, to your values, and that's where you will really thrive in.
Thank you. Mr. Diwa?
Yeah. So I wasn't able to predict what will happen to me when 15 years after I started in the industry. So I started in mid 2000s, and 15 years after, wasn't expecting that. The state of the technologies and my career. So, but I think if I'm going to give myself 15 years ago some tips, I would focus on really picking up skills, learning how to learn new things, have the propensity to learn, and always do the things that you don't want to do, so that really keep you on the edge and will help you prepare in this fast-paced industry.
Thank you. Ms. Nerissa?
Simple. My advice is believe in yourself, challenge yourself, and go for it.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Ross?
Very quickly, always learn new skills in this industry. Always, always, always. And when you're on Zoom calls, turn your fan away from your microphone, because that wind sound is terrible. So that's all I got.
All right. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Based on the comments we have here, I know our participants really learned a lot. I really learned a lot. So thank you so much. This has been a very meaningful discussion. Thank you also to our participants who joined with us this afternoon. Please join us with the following sessions tonight. I think that would be all. Right? So once again, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.